Okay, so if you remember, let's just remember where we are in the Gemara. The flow of the Gemara has been the same for quite a while, which is that the Mishnah records the position that Lavan eino ma'akev et Tchelet, Tchelet eino ma'akev et Lavan. The Gemara then introduces the position of Rebbe, who says that they are ma'akev zeh zeh. And the Gemara attempts to offer alternative interpretations of the Mishnah such that it could be possible that Rebbe would hold that Tchelet ma'akev et Lavan and Lavan ma'akev et Tchelet in general, but there would be some case in which he would agree that they're not ma'akev, and that would be the interpretation of the Mishnah. Right? So the first possibility was the Seder issue. So now the Gemara introduces Rava's position, which is Gardumin. So if you look at the Gemara about 60-70% down on the page. Now there's two sugyos we have to do in general. One is the question of why Gardumin, which is what we'll see in a second, is a category in Tzi-Tzit and not in other areas of halacha. And the second is what exactly does it mean locally. But before we get into those, we have to at least see the Gemara at least once with broad strokes, and then we can come back to it. So what does the Gemara say? Gemara says, Amar Rava lo nitzcha ela legardumin. Rava says that Rebbe will say that even though Tchelet is ma'akev Lavan and vice versa, they will not be ma'akev each other in the sense of Gardumin. What is Gardumin? Gardumin is? When it rips and the leftover part of it. I gardem Tchelet v'kai Lavan v'i gardem Lavan v'kai Tchelet litlan ba. That if the white rips, the blue and the Tchelet remains, or vice versa, it is fine. Da Amri b'nei Rabbi Chia Gardume Tchelet ksherin v'gardume Ezov ksherin. Rabbi Chia said these stubs, let's say, of Tchelet are kasher, as are the Gardume Ezov. What's Ezov? What?
But the Kohanim is to use.
For what? Yes, for what? For paraduma, thank you. V'kama shiur Gardumin, how long are these Gardumin? Amar Rab Hamduri, Amar Shmuel Kedei la'anvan, the amount that it would take to wrap them, to make a slip knot. Ibaylahu Kedei la'anvan kulo bahadadeh. Does that mean all of them together? Odim kol chad v'chad lechudei, which is obviously a lesser amount, right? Creating a slip tie of a single string is less than the amount required to tie around all four. Teiku. So the Gemara leaves it. What does teiku mean? I hope we've made this point, but we haven't. No, it does not. If anyone says that, they're just wrong. It is a drasha.
Same thing, no,
it does not mean that. It means tekum. Teku just means it stands. Let the question stand. That's all it means. Teku means
like if a team has one, it's 1-1, so that's teku.
Yes, but teku is the same as tekum. Let the question stand. That's all it means. Tishbi Taretz Kosher Rabbi is cute. That's not what it means. It means let the question stand. Yes, I know, but it's not right. Well, no, we don't resolve it. That's it. We don't know the answer, so let the question stand.
Until Tishbi comes and resolves it.
What?
Until Mashiach comes and goes.
No! First of all, no. Okay, anyways. No. Then the Gemara continues by Rav Ashli, Alimad lo ma'anvei v'yavaktane ma'anvei mai. If they are thick strings and therefore they can't be tied simply because of their thickness, but had they been thin strings, you would be able to tie them. Meaning, they're long enough for a theoretical pair of tzitzis to be tied with the aniva, but not the actual one in front of you. What's the halacha? The Rafa, the Rav Ashi, kol shekain demikar mitzvatayu. It's for sure good because the mitzvah is recognizable, which already tells you that according to this shita, the notion of Gardumin is that, or the shear of Kedei Aniva is that it's still noticeable. Okay. And then the Gemara finally introduces Montana the Rebbe, who was the author of the position that really argued in Rebbe, Detanu, Detanya, Rabbi Yitzchak, Omer Mishum Rabbi Nazan, Omer Mishum Rabbi Yossi Aglili, Shomer Mishum Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, Ein Lo Tchelet Matil Lavan. That even without Tchelet you put white, and Amar Rav Shmami Natzarach Likshar Kol Chulu V'Chulia. And we'll hold it there because we're going to come back to the local of Gardumin. But there's a lot of questions we're going to have to do with Gardumin. Let me lay them out, but we're not going to do them yet. One question we're going to have to deal with is, does this notion of Gardumin apply only for Rebbe? Because that's how it's introduced. It's introduced in the Gemara as a potential explanation for Rebbe in the Mishnah. So does that mean only Rebbe holds of it and the Chachamim do not? Or is it possible that the Chachamim hold of Gardumin even though they don't need it to interpret this Mishnah? And the third possibility is both Rebbe and the Chachamim hold of some form of the halacha of Gardumin, but not necessarily in identical ways. Another question we have to get to is the shear of Kidei Aniva. What does Kidei Aniva mean? Is Kidei Aniva a case in which you don't need to... is that the definition of Gardumin? Meaning Gardumin are a case in which all that's left is Kidei Aniva? Or are those two separate halachot? There's Gardumin plus Kidei Aniva. And Kidei Aniva is not Gardumin, it's a different heter. And how many strings are we talking about? Are we talking about 8 strings? Are we talking about 4 strings? Are we talking about 2 strings? 1 string? 3 strings? Etc. What does it look like in a world where we don't have tchelet? Right? All these things are going to be complicated, and as this sugya has been driving you nuts. If you look at the Hakdam of the Drisha starts off his comments on the Siman and Shulchan Aruch, Siman Yud Bet, with, there are many positions on this. And the Rav in his piece says, there are many positions on this. That's how everybody starts it. There are many, many, many permutations of this. It's very complicated.
It's all about many positions.
It's very complicated. Okay. Now, but before we get into the details, we need to do the broader, more fundamental question. The Gemara on Lamed Hey tells us that this category of Gardumin applies by Tzi-Tzit, but does not apply where? Tefillin, right? So the Gemara said, Amar Papa, Gardume Ritzuot Ksherot, Velav Miltehi. First, the Gemara says that the Gardumin of the straps of Tefillin are kosher, and then the Gemara says it's not true. Mida Amri B'nei Rabbi Chia, Gardume Tchelet, Gardume Ezov Ksherin. He says, not true, Gardume Tchelet, whatever that means, and Ezov are kosher, these stubs are kosher, but not by Tefillin, and the Gemara says, Hatamhu the tashmishe mitzvah ninhu aval hacha the tashmishe kedusha ninhu lo. The difference is because Tzi-Tzit are tashmishe mitzvah, and therefore there are circumstances under which the stubs will still be kasher, and when it comes to tefillin, which are tashmishe kedusha,
it's more chamor.
It's more chamor, exactly, and Gardumin will not work. And then the Gemara notes from here, the fact that stubs aren't kosher implies that there is an amount, there's a size that it needs to be. The kama shiurayu, how big does it have to be? The straps of the tefillin. So Amar B'chamvar, Amar Reish Lakish, at etzva tzir dam. Okay. What? The straps of tefillin.
Right. Why do they not work?
So the Gemara says because they are tashmishe kedusha, as opposed to Tzi-Tzit, which are tashmishe mitzvah. So what I want to do, the first thing we need to do before we get into the details of Gardumin and Tzi-Tzit is to ask the fundamental question: what does the Gemara mean here? Right? The Gemara introduces this principle, which is that there is a case in which, let's phrase it more sharply. There is a case in which, even if Tzi-Tzit or Ezov are cut, ripped to a size which would not have been kosher initially, it remains kosher despite the fact that it now lacks the requisite length because of a category called Gardumin, which means that under certain circumstances Tzi-Tzit and Ezov remain kosher even if they've been shortened. They've been shortened lesser than the original amount that was required. And the Gemara says that works for a category of mitzvot called tashmishe mitzvah, but not for tashmishe kedusha. Whatever the shiur is, must remain from beginning to end. As soon as it goes beneath the proper shear, as soon as it goes beneath the proper size, it automatically is invalidated. So this is the first thing we need to understand, which is, why do certain areas of halacha have a halacha called Gardumin, have a halacha in which, despite the fact that there was a requirement of a size when you started, it can be kosher even once that size is no longer there? And why do certain mitzvot require the maintenance of their shear throughout? Right? That's the fundamental question we need to answer. So,
Well, could it just be that this is the shear that should have the bitty eved? If it's shorter, it's okay.
So good. Who says that?
That's the. I'm blanking.
Mukhe Yosef, thank you. So, methodologically speaking, how could we approach this? So one possibility is to say what Gavi said, which is really what the Mukhe Yosef said, which is, you think that there's a halacha called Gardumin? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, what do you think Gardumin means? You think Gardumin means that you need an amount, but if you don't have it, it's okay? That's a contradiction in terms. Either you need an amount, or you don't need an amount. The Gemara says there's a category called Gardumin. He says, yeah, but it's not what you think it means. It doesn't really mean that you need a size. You need a particular size, and if you had that size at the beginning and then it ripped, it's still okay. That doesn't make any sense. Either you need the size or you don't need the size. That's the rule. So then how do you explain it? He says it must be that we have to soften that word need. Need is such a strong word. All right, lechatchila. And then what is the Gemara saying? What's the difference between tashmishe kedusha and tashmishe mitzvah?
There's no category for Tefillin, Tashmishe Kedusha.
Meaning, exactly, by tashmishe kedusha, there's actually a shear, and tashmishe mitzvah, there isn't. Now, how does he come up with that? So, what category would you do? You would call it what we call hider mitzvah. That's the Mukhe Yosef. So you look at 3. Mukhe Yosef says, Hata midaloka chashiv gardume ritzua bahade gardumer tchelet regardume izov mashma depsulin. The time of the ksherin, right? The Gemara's derivation is the fact that tefillin are not mentioned in the list of things that are kosher because of gardumin. It implies that they're not part of that category. So he says, why? Hainu mishum the tashmushe mitzvah nenu v'ika mishum ze'eli v'anveyu. The kevan she'amit chag and tulo mifsal. He says what it sounds like is the following. By tashmishe mitzvah, why do you need a size? Why do you need it to be a certain size? Because it's beautiful, it's nice. So look, if you started out with the most beautiful size and it ripped, what can you do? But by tashmishe kedusha, presumably, the shear is exactly what it sounds like, a shear. So methodologically speaking, the first approach you could take is, there seems to be a contradiction, so how do you deal with the contradiction? Or there's a conceptual tension, how do you deal with it?
Is it really a shear?
Yeah, you just say there's no tension, it just doesn't exist. Right? I mean, it's really a yes or no question. It's not, they both need or I'll put it differently. The contradiction seems to be as follows. Do you need a shear or do you not? Mamanashach. If you need a shear, you should always need a shear. If you don't need a shear, you should never need a shear. And how could you split the difference and say, by tashmishe, kedusha, Tzi-Tzit, and the like, you need a shear, but if it disappears, no problem. And by tashmishe, kedusha, you say, you need a shear and you always need a shear. His answer is, it's an illusion. Right? There are only 2 rules in the Torah. Cases where you need a shear, you always need a shear. Cases where you don't need a shear, you never need a shear. Tashmishe, kedusha, tashmishe, mitzvah, like tzitzis, we say, start off with an amount, and if it's not there, don't worry about it. How does it make any sense? He says it's not a real shear. It's a hider mitzvah shear.
That would be a problem with our next Gemara, though.
Oh, good. No, so there's a reason that everybody looks. Oh, hello. There's a reason that the people look at the Mukhe Yosef and they say, "What's going on?" So to catch you up quickly, right? The Gemara in Lamed Chet tells us that by Tzi-Tzit, under certain circumstances, if your Tzi-Tzit rip, they're still kasher because of a category called Gardumin, that the stubs are sufficient as long as you start with the right size. The Gemara on Lamed Hey tells us that by Tefillin it's not true. By Tefillin you need the right size always, right? And if the straps of the Tefillin go under the size, it is possible. The Gemara says, why is that? It distinguishes between Tashmishe, Kedusha, Tashmishe, Mitzvah, that Tefillin and all other holy objects always need the right amount. tashmishay mitzvah, it's not true. Why is that the case? So possibility one is that when we say that there's a shear, when we say there's a requisite amount for tashmishay mitzvah, we don't mean it. We don't mean it. There's no real amount. It's just heder lechatchila. So you don't have it. Big deal. That's possibility one. Methodologically speaking, though, let's try this. Let's push this more. Okay. First, let's describe the difference. Describe the difference before we justify the difference. Okay? If I wanted to describe the difference, what would you say?
Between what?
Between the way the Gemara conceptualizes Tashmishay Kedusha and Tashmishay Mitzvah, what would you say? Describe the difference.
Tashmishay mitzvah is it's the bare minimum you physically need to do the mitzvah, and then anything added to that is hidden mitzvah. And Tashmishay Kedusha is...
No, that's the Mukhe Yosef. Leave aside the Mukhe Yosef. Just describe it for me, assuming that the Mukhe Yosef is not correct. Let's say the Mukhe Yosef is not correct. Right? This is not about Hiddur, this is a straight halacha, because that's the simple pshat here. So descriptively, what does it say? That by Tashmishay Kedusha, when do you need shear? Describe. Always. Tashmishay Mitzvah, when do you need it? Only at the beginning. Now, you'll see that if you look at the beginning of the Koved Shirim, Rav Elchanan Wasserman, right, 20th century, end of 19th, beginning of 20th, dies during the Holocaust. So he quotes from Rav Yoshua Zelig. I don't know who that is. He's the Ilui Hanifla Mi Klim. I can't pronounce that. Something near Brisk. Now he just, and you always have to be careful. There's the describe what happened and then justify it. He asked him this question. He said, "What is the difference?" Right? He says, "Amar pa Gardumin Tzit-Tzit, the Amrina, etc." Skip down 5 lines down. I gave you the whole piece, but look 5 lines down. V'yesh lahavin tamach chiluk ben mitzvah lekadusha. You've got to understand the difference. V'sha'alti zeh me'ed hagon Rabbi Shua Zelig zatzal ha'iloi ha'niflami, whatever you pronounce that, niftar mi brisk. Okay. I asked him, and he said to me, v'heshivli, d'yesh l'stapek b'shiura de-Tzi-Tzit. You have to wonder whether the size of Tzi-Tzit im ashir hu b'kiyum ha'mitzvah shetzarech lilbosh Tzi-Tzit shel yud bet godlin. So the size is 12 godlin, which is 12 thumbs. So he said, is it that the mitzvah of Tzi-Tzit is to wear Tzi-Tzit with 12, right, of Yud Beit Godlin, of the right size? O dashir rak ba'cheftza. Or is the size just in the creation of the object?
Is the thumb like this or like this?
This is a gudal.
What?
This is a gudal. This size.
Oh, like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, something like that. Okay? So he says, but I don't have to wear the whole shear. This is very lamdish. If I would have a tzitzit where the tzitzit was the right size, and were I wearing half of the shear, it would be kosher. I cannot imagine what he's talking about, but lamdishly he's saying I was partaking of the right. I was wearing tzitzit that had the right shear, even though they were not all on me. I don't know how you do that, but that's fine. He said, I know that the shear is only in the object. Because if the halacha was I need to wear tzitzit of the right amount, then Gardumin would make no sense. You need to be wearing tzitzit that are the right amount. Because each act of wearing is its own thing. What would it help you? The fact that it was once the right size. What you learn from this is that when it comes to tzitzit, the shear, the amount, is not an amount that I have to wear. It needs that the tzitzit should be 12 godlin. And once you say that I don't have to be wearing tzitzit of 12, but the tzitzit have to be made of 12, you don't have to, but you could say that this halacha is only when I make the tzitzit, because what you're saying is that I've created the chefza shel tzitzit, and once it's a chefza shel tzitzit, so the definition remains even if it has lost the shear. But if the nature of the mitzvah was that I need to constantly be wearing tzitzit, which are the right size, then it wouldn't help that it was once the right size, because it
Isn't.
It isn't. Thank you. Is that the difference between mitzvah and kedusha? That when it comes to tashmishe kedusha, the shear is that I need to perform the mitzvah with this sized object. Meaning I need to wear the right length of your tzuot. Okay, that's what he says. Now what's the problem with what he says?
That
Does it explain? No, it doesn't explain at all. What does it do? It simply articulates the issue. I mean, all he did was that he articulated the problem, which is that by tefillin, you actively, the Maisa mitzvah must be performed with tefillin that are the right size, with the straps of the right size. And when it comes to Tzi-Tzit,
you don't.
you don't. You need to create an object called Tzi-Tzit, and the object, once the object is created, it can be cut down and it can still be good.
How do we decide there's a difference there? Like, how
Well,
do we decide where it's going to fall? Like, the tefillin needs that.
Good. So, okay. So the end. So what's the? Hold that thought just for 1 second. The obvious problem. This will answer Daniel's question. The obvious problem is, and this is what Rav Elchanan says. He said, yes, you are correct. That is right. What you said is the proper articulation of the what. But what you have not done is explain this at all. You've just stated it. Meaning, you have restated the Gemara in fancy language. Thank you. Right? That's what you've done. You've restated the point. But that's not the question here. The question is, what is the point? Not restating the point, but please tell me why this is the case. And he says, he said, yeah, obviously. You can't say that stubs will be kosher if I actively need the amount to be there when I perform the mitzvah. Obviously. You can only talk about stubs being kosher if it's a halacha on the creation of the object. Right, I added the word creation, and therefore you could say, "Aval lefizen tzarich lomar teklalu tebechol tashmishe mitzvah ashiru rak ba'chefza uvetashmishe kedusha ashiru gam b'maisa mitzvah kiyuma." He said, "Let me rephrase what you just said, and go back to the Gemara. According to you, therefore, that means that what is the Gemara's answer on Lamed Hey? That all objects which are tashmishe kedusha." The shirim are about the performance of the mitzvah. And everything which is tashmishe mitzvah is just about creating an object. Except, what does Rav Elchanan say? V'tzarech iyun. Demai paska. V'ata kula b'chada machtinu. Said, oh, really? Everything? I mean, like, give me something here. Explain yourself. What, it is true? Why couldn't it be that you have things which are tishmei mitzvah that need a shear even when you perform the mitzvah? And the opposite. Meaning, you're just stating the problem. But pray tell, why is this true? Okay, good. So now we've set up the problem, right? We've described the problem, right? What Rav Yeshua Zelig did was he described the problem. But now the question is, okay, but what's the answer? Not, stop telling me what the difference is. I got it. Now explain it to me. Good. So what possibilities do we have logically? And then let's see them inside. What logical possibilities do we have? Good. So Daniel began starting a svara. What is Daniel's svara? What?
Meaning how.
Good, but what would I be looking for?
Where we get the mitzvah. Meaning the mitzvah of tefillin is that you should wear them. right?
Hayalacha, this is Sula.
Versus just make.
Okay, so Rafi comes up with one possibility, which is the following.
It doesn't pass halacha or basula MCC.
Right.
Good. So Rafi says maybe the real difference isn't tashmishay kedusha, tashmishay mitzvah. It's the following: if the Torah says make it, then I know that the shear is in the creation because the act of creating is halachically significant.
Yeah.
But if the pasuk always described it not as make but
Have.
perform, have, whatever, then the creation of the object is not a halachically significant moment.
It's doing the mitzvah itself.
Right? It's performing the mitzvah. And once I know that the only significant act is performing the mitzvah, and I know that there is a shear, then the shear must be
Always.
Right? That's where you would look. Who says exactly what Rafi says? Because Rafi's exactly right. One way of saying this is that it's not really about Tashmishay Mitzvah, Tashmishay Kedusha. It's about cases in which the Torah grants halachic significance to the creation of the object, in which case it's plausible to say the shear is in the creation, and once it's created, the status will remain. Or cases in which the Torah doesn't describe it as making. The act of making is not significant, and therefore it must be that once I know that there's a shear, the shear is in the performance. So who says what you say? It's a very good svara. Who says it? Besides for you. You're very good. You say it. Good.
I got it from Daniel's that idea that
It's fine. I'm glad that you were machaving to it. So who says it?
I don't know. I just remember the sources.
So the answer is the Chasam Sofer. I'm not going to go in order. I'm going to order the answers that you give me. So Rafi is now going to stand in for the rest of Shir as the Chasam Sofer. Good person to stand in, right? Moshe Sofer. So now, before I read the Chasam Sofer, though, what nafkamina will emerge from what you just said? That will the real distinction be about Tashmisha Mitzvah, Tashmisha Kedusha? No. The real distinction you're going to be looking for are things in which
With the
pasuk says make, and where the pasuk doesn't say make. That's what you're going to look for. Good. So that's
But then why does the Gemara say
kasha? You're right. But that's what's going to emerge from this, and that's what the Chasam Sofer says. So you look at number 6. Okay, we're going to go in order of what people suggest, assuming you are mechavein to all of them, which would make me very happy. So the Chasam Sofer, who's Moshe Sofer? Let's do this biographically. He was the leader of Hungarian Jewry, right? He's the father of essentially modern Jewry, right? He was the Chadash Asur Min HaTorah, right? His famous line is Chadash Asur Min HaTorah because he was in polemics with the Reform movement, with Haskalah, and he didn't like any new things, and therefore his rule in life was Chadash Asur Min HaTorah. Everything new is Asur, which is in fact a rule in the Mishnah, except it refers to
it's talking about
yeah, it refers to new grain, right? Before the Omer, L'Chadash, right? Chadash and Yashan. He just said Chadash Asur Min HaTorah, all new things are Asur. Great.
What does that mean? All new things.
Exactly what it sounds like. He didn't like any new things. Good. So if you look at Tshuva in 6 and the Juration of Vav and Yer,
So like what's it called? Those people in
he was
Amish.
We need all new things.
okay.
Which is kosher phone.
If you want, Michael Silber has written an excellent summary of this. Okay, guys, come on, guys, look at 6. So he got a question from whoever he got a question from. From Shlomo Kluger. Okay, Shlomo Kluger, serious posik as well. So he writes second line right after his whole introduction of Shlomo Kluger. Nikavati bikorti v'gamarani alav v'luchot shniyot v'yadat ki lo liyitzarach mar achan v'zinu harabani v'otiyot shaluni al dat sefer Torah shenishtana hadyo la'achar k'tiva v'nefach la'adam dam mikama sibot ikshir ha-sefer Torah lo. Here is the question that he was dealing with. If I have a sefer Torah and the ink started to fade and now it's like reddish, it is a reddish hue. Is it still kosher? This was the question. Okay? So we wrote, V'atavok tatel divrei charifuto, u'metak divsho b'mate ozen sher b'yad, etc. The hukam marito b'sofo, hevek ki Gardumin Tzit-Tzit diksherim. So Shlomo Kluger had said to him, yeah, the letters are fine because it's like Gardumin, right? Faded letters are sort of like Gardumin of Tzitzis. Fianal lo tzricha lezev. Yafa dacha rav sheknegda dorehacha b'kedusha askinan v'gadumin tashmish keduva psulim kedirmei retzuot. He said, I'm sorry, that doesn't make any sense because the Gemara says that Gardumin is a category in mitzvah, not kedusha. And what does it say for Torah? Kedusha. Good luck. Fine. So, so therefore he says ve'ein Gardumin ksherim. Okay, next paragraph. This was the context for the shaila, and then he says, "Umak shehiksha arava umashagazav lo machshrim Gardume shofar velulav the machshirei mitzvah ninu." This was the question that he asked. In the middle of the question, the guy said, "Well, wait a second. Is a shofar tashmisha mitzvah or tashmisha kedusha?" Mitzvah. Tashish mitzvah. It doesn't have intrinsic kedusha. It's a mitzvah. It's tashmisha mitzvah.
No, not according to the pasuk.
Nope, tashmish mitzvah, shofar, lulav, right after the sukkahs you throw it out. Right? Not in a bizayon way, but you throw it out. And no kedusha. So what's the problem? If you have a lulav, if you have a shofar, and it is, you made it and it was kosher, and now it's this big. Are you allowed to blow it? No. So the guy asked him, I don't understand. If the real rule is tashmishi mitzvah versus tashmishi kedusha, then why can't I blow on a mini little shofar the size of a whistle that once had the right shear? It's tashmishi mitzvah. It should be kosher midin gardumin.
Because the mitzvah isn't in creation, the mitzvah is in the actual.
Good, and that's exactly the point. The Chassam Sofer says you got it wrong. Tashmishi mitzvah, tashmishi kedusha was a shorthand, and it's not always true. There are some tashmishi mitzvah that for these purposes are like tashmishi kedusha. The real rule. Now, the weakness of his svara is that it's saying that the Gemara didn't mean what it said it meant. That was a shorthand for something that's only sometimes true. Okay, fine. But conceptually, it's a very smooth thing, and he says exactly what Rafi says. So maybe Rafi wants to read his svara since he's the one who said it. What? Do you want to read it since you're the one who said it? Or do you want me to read it? I don't care.
Read it.
Okay, fine. Do you have a sheet, by the way?
No, I don't.
Okay, you have two. I was like, that's why you can't read it. Okay. So he says...
That wasn't the reason why I didn't want to read it.
But look at the last paragraph of the Chassam Sofer. He says, Lo kasha midi, ditchelet hi gufei mitzvah, shrei boy asiya lishma. So when it comes to tchelet, the making of it is a halachically significant act. It's a mitzvah. How do I know?
You need lishma.
You need lishma. Va'afilu l'man yamar lav chovatal lehu mikol makom b'deboy asiya lishma mitzvah ba'atzmo avi mitzvah ba'atzmo. V'cheven shu huchshar to lo paka Hashem mitzvah minei mishum pachat shiurei. And since the act of making it was significant, so the Gemara is mechadesh that as long as it was created b'hechsher, it remains kasher. Va'afil v'ena chanami im nifchat achot v'kasher v'shuv mater tzit v'chozer v'tol v'eged ha've asiyah chadash alomit kasher ha'gardim ha'hu. And he said, you know how I know that this is the case? Because what would happen if I took those same strings that are kasher on your Tzi-Tzit, untie them and put them on a new beged? Would it be kasher?
Yes.
No! Because then I'm making a new beged, and now they don't have the right shear. It's only when it's gardumin, when it's a stub of that which is created by extra. But if I undid it and made a new beged, then it wouldn't work because the asiyah would be bipsul. Masha engen kol manshu adayin mitzvot rishona v'kol ze betchelet shenitol beveged lishma. But he says this is different from what? Masha engen shofar v'lulav she'en gufan mitzvot. They're not mitzvot ella halekicha belulav ushmiya b'kol shofar. The mitzvah is wait, take the arba minim. Blow the shofar. The taking, the blowing, that's the mitzvah. That's not the... You can't say gardumin, because maybe the last time I blew the shofar, I blew the kosher shofar, but now I'm blowing, and I'm not. The low gardumin pashut ach kosher ravatzum ezov the doma mashlo lulav the shofar vilachi kosher. So then you'll tell me, what about agudat ezov? Why is Azov not like that? Right, the paraduma thing. Said Shirei Tahara did He said, maybe that's different because it's Shirei Tahara. Maybe it's the same thing. Now he doesn't fully explain why he thinks that by Tefillin this is not the case. Okay? But fundamentally, his svara is clear. That the real rule is not Kedusha versus mitzvah, it's cases in which the real mitzvah is the performance, because the pasuk does not indicate that there is significance to creating, and cases in which there's significance to creating. Now you'll ask me the good kasha, which is,
what's the difference to creating?
well, that's what he asks also, and he says, maybe there is, maybe it's a din in taras that we know from taras. He doesn't have a good proof for it. But you'll ask me, the better question is, I'm willing to accept half of his svara, which is that there are things within tashmishay mitzvah which that are pasul, even with that don't have gardumin. But what did he not explain?
Is the opposite? Like,
right? Why by tashmishay kedusha this is not the case? Meaning, why we have lishma by tefillin? We have lishma by tefillin. So how do you not? So maybe the fact that there's a din asiyas tefillin means that once it's tefillin, it remains kosher. Now, presumably, he'll say no. Either the pasuk doesn't say make tefillin, or you'll say that anytime something is kadosh, what you need is a chefza shel kedusha, or something like that. But we'll see. People will say that more explicitly than he does. Okay, that is one attempt at explaining this. Go back to Rav Elchanan. Okay? Rav Elchanan gives a second explanation. He says, no. It really is about Kedusha versus Mitzvah. But you know what it is. So look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 lines down in the second paragraph. Lulei dvar, actually, before we see it, give me another svara. What might the difference be? Okay, I'll say Rav Elchanan outside, then I'll read. Oh yeah, Rafi wants to switch from being Chlamdor to being Rav Elchanan. So he is actually sharper, right? He says, no. Here's the lamdos. What is the fundamental difference between Tashmishay Mitzvah and Tashmishay Kiddusha? What do you think, Daniel?
Isn't it what we said before about like whether?
Good, but why? So let's push it. He says Tashmishay Mitzvah. Okay, I'll say it outside. Tashmishay Mitzvah, a shofar. Why is it that by shofar it would make no sense to talk about Gardumin? Oh, do you know what? Let's leave shofar for a second. By Tzitzis, by Tashmishay Mitzvah, he says the following: the object has no inherent kedusha. Right? What's its kedusha? Its kedusha is a function of the fact that it is used to perform a mitzvah. And therefore, it's possible to say that once the object has been created, Allah the Chazam Sofer, and this is defined as Tzi-Tzit, so I can keep wearing it. But by Tishmishay Kedusha, what is different about the object? What does Tishmishay Kedusha mean? That the object has inherent kedusha.
And if you change the object, then it doesn't have like...
So the Rav Elchanan says, you know what? Maybe it would be true. Maybe tefillin, even when they become smaller, are still called tefillin. But you know what they're not? Kadosh. Because kedusha requires shear. And you know why you're not yotzei? Because you don't have the shear, and therefore you don't have the kedusha. But Tashmishay Mitzvah don't need kedusha. He said Tashmishay Mitzvah just need an object. And maybe once the object is defined, it retains its identity, even if it loses shear. But Kedusha tells you that the object itself is inherently sanctified, and when it's inherently sanctified, it's an ends and not a means, then maybe it needs constant shear to maintain its Kedusha, and because the only type of tefillin that you can be yotzei or mitzvah with are holy tefillin, if it has less than the shear, even if you would say at some level it's tefillin, what is it not? Tefillin that meets the standards of Kedusha. And therefore, he says the difference is, when something's Tashmishay Mitzvah, it's only a means. And therefore, you could say, look, once it's defined, the standards are looser because the object is just, right? This is almost opposite the Cham Sofer. Right? Is no, Tashmishay Kedusha, the object is significant because it needs to hold to certain standards to have its Kedusha, because without the inherently sanctified object, it's not, right? It's not the object. But Tishmishay Mitzvah, the standards are lower because they're just a means. They're just instruments, but they don't have inherent sanctity. So he said they don't need to hold those standards to maintain kedusha, and therefore he said, "V'lulei dvarav hayafshar lomar debitashmishe kedusha hakdusha itnai lekashrut mitzvah." The im yisar shemitzvah ksher b'chol pratim l'shemeza tam ein lam kedusha zegufa poslan. Im tashmishe kedusha tzarich shnei dvarim. Etzem kashrut mitzvah v'kedusha. By tashmishe kedusha, I need both of the object is kasher, but that it remains it holy. And in order to remain holy, it needs constant requisite size. It needs to hold to its high standards all the time. But tashmishe mitzvah ein tzarich ela pirtei ha-mitzvah ba'atzma. Gardumin lomani elanian ksheir mitzvah v'lonian kedusha. Said maybe the object is the same because of Gardumin, even when the size goes down once it's been created. But by tashmishe kedusha, that's not enough because I need an object that's inherently sanctified, and therefore I need it to maintain its shear throughout. Kevan she'en lem toar atzarich l'kedushatan. Umishum hachi lo mani gardumin b'tashmishe kedusha da'af demahani la'achshiron al kevan she'en ben kedusha memela im psulim mishum chesaron kedusha. So that's Rav Elchanan's suggestion that the difference really is about kedusha versus mitzvah. It's things which are tashmishe kedusha because in order to be yotzei they need to be kadosh, and kedusha requires standards. As soon as it goes below the requisite size, the kedusha disappears, and now the object can't function. But when it comes to tashmishe mitzvah, it just needs that the object is defined as a functional halachic object. And there, if you add the chtam sofer, certain objects we know create a status
Based on the
pasuk, and therefore you're yotzei. Now, according to this, what do you think? What would Rav Elchanan want to say about shofar and lulav? What do you think?
They don't have in here, but
So, do you think he would agree with the chtam sofer's limitation or not? Meaning, saying that Rav Elchanan, the chtam sofer says that really the rule is there halachic significance to the asiyah, and therefore, even though shofar and lulav are tashmishe mitzvah, they don't have a halacha of gardumin because since they don't have there's no chalos of creating them, there's no mitzvah to create them, it never took on the status, quote unquote, of shofar, such that it could retain the status. Do you think Rav Elchanan would agree with that? Maybe, right? Maybe. Could you argue and say, no, maybe the whole point is that in a chanami, right? Maybe it's not like what Rafi said. Maybe it's not about the pasuk saying in asiyah. Maybe this is really just a rule. Anything that's tashmishe mitzvah, by virtue of the fact that it doesn't require kedusha, just needs to be created, and once it's created, it maintains its status even if it shrinks.
what about
So what do you think? Do you think you could... Wait a second. We'll come back to say what Torah. Do you think you could construct an argument like what I just said?
Well, how would you fit shofar? Things like shofar into that.
So, meaning, if you said this, would it be possible that someone would disagree with the chtam sofer? Meaning, chtam sofer assumes that shofar and lulav, gardumin doesn't work, but could you construct a position in which gardumin of shofar or esrog do work? What do you think? Perhaps, right? Maybe not lav dafka, but if you really think that the rule is anything that's kadosh requires shear now to maintain kedusha, anything that's not kadosh, it's just tashmishe mitzvah, doesn't. So then in the chanami, so who holds that gardumin is machshir a lulav and esrog that is small? Who holds that? Thank you. The Chumas Hadeshen. Very good. Good guess. Right? Who is the Chumas Hadeshen? We've mentioned it before. The Chumas Hadeshen is, Zur Shechter like saying, the most important posek in Shulchan Aruch. Why? Why, Rafi? You've never been in my shir, so you don't know. Because the Chumas Hadeshen, according to, again, I've never checked it, I take Rosh Hashem's word, that the Chumas Hadeshen is the only tshuva sefer that has the clean sweep, that all 354 tshuvot in the Chumas Hadeshen are quoted somewhere in Shulchan Aruch or Nosei Kelim, meaning every single one of them makes it a halacha, which is impressive. His name was Yisrael Isserlein, talking Isserlein.
Where do you live?
Germany. In the 15th century. So here was the shaila. I'll say it's a fascinating shaila. He said, "Asher shaltani uvda tmiya dit aved mikarav b'samuch lach." This was the story that happened. There were many communities that they only had one esrog between them. They couldn't find more than one. And all the little towns wanted to have an esrog, so they came up with this brilliant idea. So they cut up the esrog into multiple pieces, and they send a piece, a sliver, to every little town. And by the time each piece got to the cities, they had shriveled to less than the size of a beitzah. And even so,
were these the Temani Yasrog?
No. By the time the end, it was tiny.
No.
I don't know how big it was originally, but by the end, it was a tiny little piece.
Yasrog, it's already much smaller than.
No. Not necessarily. No.
I've never. I don't think I've ever.
No, you could get an even a regular esrog could be 4 esrog. Yeah, 4.
Really?
Yeah. Anyways, they asked me if this was a good idea. I mean,
it's very creative.
He said, "You've never heard of something," and he said, "Dalach amiti." He said, I gotta be honest, that sounds crazy to me. Let me explain why I don't like it. It goes through a bunch of reasons. But then he says, let me get the point. Let's see. And he says, okay. He said, let's say it had happened by accident. So he said, maybe that would be kosher. Why would it be kosher? Because of Gardumin Tzit-Tzit. But to do this, right, lechatchila is asur, because it's not a remnant. This was how you intended to do it, meikara. Okay, that's just the next page. Right, if you're cutting it up before Sukkot to do this, then it's not shiurim, it's a chaticha. Right, you're treating it as a piece and not a shiure. Now, his lumdus is very interesting, but let's tease out what comes out from it. Rafi, what emerges from the Trumat HaDeshen? The Trumat HaDeshen said, why is it not kosher? Because you were treating it as a piece rather than shiurim. But what therefore is implied by him, that let's say it had been your esrog and it accidentally got cut into pieces,
You could use it.
it would be kosher because of Gardumin. He said Gardumin, right? So Rav Chanan points out that you see from the Trumat HaDeshen that, what did he think?
Gardumin applies to all.
Good, that he thought Gardumin did apply against the Chacham Sofer. The Chacham Sofer thinks that because shofar and lulav and esrog don't have a din asiyah, therefore you can't have a halacha of Gardumin. And he says, what are you talking about? He really holds it. If it's kadosh, then the chefta is important. If it's tashmishe mitzvah, it once needed to have the right shear. That's all there is to it. Right? And as long as you once related to as a chefta of a mitzvah with the right shear, that's it. You're good. Forever, it's fine. You could use a tiny little esrog this big. That's 75% of your esrog is eaten by your dog. Kosher. Right? Kosher. That's what Trumat HaDeshen writes. Right? That, and therefore, according to Trumat HaDeshen, it really is a chiluk between tashmishe mitzvah and tashmishe kedusha.
Maybe this happened on the second day of Sukkot, and that's why he said we could do it now.
Look, there's a lot going on in that tshuva, but the Trumas HaDeshen, look, Rav Chanan's right. If you're medayik in the Trumas HaDeshen, it's clear this is what he holds. Okay, you guys are. I know this is a taxing svara sugya nisvara. So far we've seen the Nemuka Yosef who says that this is really just the difference is lechatchila b'diavad, right? Meaning whether there's a real shir or not. We saw the description of a Yeshua Zelig that it's a difference between things that need a shear always, meaning the performance of a mitzvah, and things that need shear in the object. We saw Chacham Sofer who says the real difference isn't tashmishe mitzvah, tashmishe kedusha. It's whether there's a mitzvah to create it, in which case there's a chalos. Now maybe by Tefillin I have to come up with something else, but therefore there are things even within Tashmishay mitzvah that don't need this shear, right? They do need the shear always because there's no mitzvah to create them, and therefore there's no chalos, shofar and esrog. And then we see Rochanan says the difference really is mitzvah versus kedusha. The things that are kadosh, because they need to maintain their kedusha, they need a constant shear, and things that are just means, they don't need kedusha, and therefore it could be they were creating the object and they maintain their status. And we saw that really the Trumas Hadeshan thinks that, and really thinks that there is Gardumin by esrog, unlike the Chasam Sofer. We have left tomorrow. I know this is a bit of an achronish sugya, but they're the ones who really flesh out the ideas. Is we're going to see tomorrow the possibility that if we're careful in the lamdus, so far we've seen the possibility of things that are tashmishay mitzvah that might have it in Gardumin. Tomorrow we're going to see, well, actually not tomorrow, because you have your Chabura. Tomorrow. Wednesday have a Tiyul. Next time we look at this, right, we'll polish off this part of this. What? Shiloh. Well, we'll see. Maybe on Thursday. Okay, guys, maybe on Thursday, right, Broid's coming on Thursday, so maybe on Thursday we'll polish off this sheet, right? Yeah, but maybe we'll just in the morning, without preparation, we'll just polish off as far as here. This way, by Sunday, we can go to the local sugya of Gardumin, which is even more complicated, right? Which is, okay, how does this play out in Tzitzis? Okay, but try to at least polish this off. We'll see if there's time tomorrow. If there's time tomorrow, maybe we'll polish it off. I don't know. But next time we have shear, depending on how long Chabur is, right? Clapper is also coming, giving shear tomorrow. So we'll see exactly how things.
What time?
No, they didn't tell me. What?
Oh no, that's in the afternoon.
My Clapper, I think, is 12. You're giving Chabur at 9. So we'll see. If we have time tomorrow, maybe we'll just polish this off. And after that, I want you guys to already start thinking about the local sugya of Gardumin, which really, I'll give you a source sheet, but really it's going to be starting with the Tosfos over here, the Tosfos, the Rush, but we'll polish this off next time, okay?